Hey guys, welcome to Road 87 with Schutz and Boom, Season 2, Episode 1. It's been a long time coming. We're excited. What do you think?
Finally doing a show, man.
No kidding.
We haven't done a show since the show that wasn't really a show, which was our celebration for Season 1, and now it's time for Season 2.
And we had kind of a teaser, but guess what? We're about to get it. You ready, Boom?
Let's go.
Let's get it. Hey guys, welcome to Road 87 with Schutz and Boom. I am Schutz.
I'm Boom.
We're finally here. We're back, dude.
Season 2.
Better technology now.
We should have shaved. We both should have shaved. This lost Nix in the election, by the way. This is what literally won JFK the election, was the fact that JFK came across so smooth on video, and right now we've got a couple of schmucks like yourself and I who haven't shaved in a week, and it shows.
No, you know what? We were so excited to get this out. We finally got the tech up. We bought the stuff. We had some technical difficulties. We had some family life. We had life come up.
Yeah, life came up.
Things are looking good now. We're in our makeshift studio, aren't we?
We are. We're on the campus of UNO.
It works for now. We got a quiet room at UNO. We're in the process of working with some bars, some establishments to get going. But hey, we had to kick out content. We were excited as hell.
It's been too long. We needed to get the show. We needed to get the show rolling, so we did. That's what we do. That's what we do.
So what should we talk about, Boom?
I don't know. Monday's kind of a thing. Spring football starts.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's kind of a big deal around
spring.
here, isn't
Oh,
it?
it is. You know, I mean, it's a glorified practice. Sold out. They sold out the spring game, like a legit sellout for the spring game.
I know you can't. I know your thoughts on it. And
I'm not a big fan of the spring game.
I don't get into it as much as I used to, because
It's
guys are going to see
practice.
Yeah, we're talking about practice.
Practice, man.
But here's the thing: there are things to be had there that you can notice. Yes, they're still going to go through their summer conditioning, but the winter conditioning is the really, really hard one. The summer conditioning, we're starting to get them into football shape. But they bulk up in the winter, what have you. You can see if guys look a little leaner. You can see if guys look a little stronger, a little bigger.
And according to Coach Frost a couple of days ago, you know, with Coach Duvall shooting him a text saying, you know, over 100 pounds on average on the squat for the entire team. 13 pounds average of lean muscle mass put on
50 pounds on the bench
since the beginning of the Scott Frost era, not over the couple of months of off season here, but since they walked through the door, that's the change that they have seen in conditioning and whatnot.
I think it's good. I talked to the Oracle last night, and he brought up the same things you are right now, and I'm just still, let's hold off. I'm a little bit but I'm a little more excited than you are about the springtime. It's a time where you can see if guys have made a jump.
It's a time for baseball.
It's a time. We're going to get to it.
It's a time for baseball.
It's a time for baseball. Here you go.
They're taking away a wonderful April day where I could be watching a baseball game, and we're gonna practice.
Boom.
Practice.
Okay, here we go. Some news though. Mo Washington, your boy, that's a big hit.
It's going to be. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
For those of you who don't know, Mo Washington, starting running back or projected
starter, yes,
for Nebraska.
He's got some legal troubles in California. Had a video of an ex who was allegedly assaulted. He sent it to her. They're saying it was like a revenge text. It's also child pornography because she was under the age of 18, even though he was also under the age of 18 at that time.
He's not in the video. There's a lot of. This is a very muddy waters.
There are muddy waters. There's still a problem though, because
Certainly.
this head coach sets an example of high character and sets an example of there's a way we do things here. Especially when it comes to how we treat women. I know that he was not on campus when all this happened. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the legalities of all of this.
I believe in this, and you know, me and you, we had a heyday during the Urban Meyer stuff.
We did,
and a heyday during all these scandals, you name it, down at Baylor and over at Penn State, and on and on and on down the list. Well, the same holds true for Nebraska, but I do believe this, and I've always said this: due process. Let's have due process and find out really, let it all play out in court. What happened? I've heard varying stories, and I'm not defending them. I don't know all the facts yet. They will come. The beauty of this is they will come. One side of the story I heard is that she asked for them. He had them. She asked for them. It wasn't a revenge thing at all. I've heard also it was completely done out of spite. Kids, technology nowadays, wrongfully used can cause a lot of damage. I can tell you that He wasn't in the video. He had nothing to do with the video. He just had the video. Well, but you're right. If this plays out, it's going to be very difficult to weave through this minefield. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying Mo Washington is done. But it's going to be very difficult to see him coming back, as it sits today.
And if he doesn't come back, who are we looking at? Who's in the mix? Are we talking like Wyatt Mazur? I mean, honestly,
Well,
I know we've got Wan'Dale Robinson coming in, and that's great. We didn't expect Mo Washington to do what he did in his freshman season.
No, but you have the likes of, he hasn't made it to campus yet. Hopefully he comes in the summer. Dedrick Mills.
The JUCO?
Yeah.
We had a wonderful JUCO that we all projected to be the starter last year.
Right. I know it.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be the same situation. I'd probably feel better about that situation. I do. I see Wan'Dale Robinson factoring in. I see him factoring in, even more importantly, as a running back than as a running back in the passing game.
Well,
I think
Scott says he's going to start out at wide receiver. We're talking about Wan'Dale Robinson, the freshman from Kentucky that's coming in. He's a speed demon. They like him at receiver, but they also like him in a running back part of capacity. I don't know. I think that you can look at Dedrick Mills. You can look at Ramir Johnson they got coming in. They've got a few guys coming in.
How about guys that are already here?
Jalen Bradley. The staff was on him. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger. He sat, and when I say sat last year, he wasn't suited up half the time at the home games. He was in the stands with the freshmen. I don't know. I think I've been reading articles and what have you that this is a make-or-break year for some of the guys that are on there. It's scary. Mo Washington is a big hit. It's going to be very interesting to see how they weave through that.
And he may be back. We don't know. We don't know the situation. Maybe Super Mario dude can jump over anything or anyone. Maybe Mo Washington, Super Mo, maybe he's back. Maybe that question, we felt good because we thought we got some depth at the running back spot after early signing day and signing day. And then after that, Mo Washington potentially out of the mix, and that throws or puts into question whether or not we'll have him on the team or if he'll be ready.
They've got to start making plans and moves right now. And if safe money says that you start planning, he's not going to be here. That's a smart thing. So, yeah, you're going to see the likes of Wyatt Mazur get more reps that if Mo Washington was here probably wouldn't get any.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting. What else is going on with spring? Any other interesting lines?
Well, we got a new D-line coach.
Yeah, that's right. Tony Tatui, I'm probably saying it wrong. I love this hire. I am stoked.
Look, maybe I'm still like in the honeymoon phase with Scott Frost, but any decision he makes, I'm going to be good with until proven wrong. He surrounds himself by intelligent coaches. Here's the other thing. He doesn't surround himself with yes men, but he brought in a guy who's got familiarity with the Big Ten. He was at Michigan for a couple of years. He is well-versed in recruiting. He understands the 3-4 scheme. He's got a boatload of kids. He's a smart guy.
I'll cut to the chase of what I love about him. Justin Wilcox, who's down in Cal, is considered one of the greatest defensive minds in the game right now. Young, up-and-coming defensive minds. Hired this guy right out of the gate out of Michigan.
Right.
The guy's got recruiting ties like you wouldn't believe. You know what I love about? He's Samoan. You know what kind of ties he has to the linemen?
He probably knows Samoa Joe. He's arrested. You know Samoa Joe?
He probably... You know how connected he is into the pipeline? That down there?
Oh, yeah.
To the likes of Areola and the Fanudis and what have you. Fanuti actually, years ago, lineman Fanuti, welcomed him to campus. Said, you're now a Husker. You're now part of the family. Welcome.
Nice.
On his own. And Fanuti doesn't come around campus, I guess. Since Scott's been around, he's come around more, but personally welcomed a fellow Samoan to the Brotherhood of Cornhuskers. I love it from a recruiting standpoint. I love it from a standpoint that he's supposed to be a tactician and
right.
well respected in the community. And, yeah, a little bit of his bias because of Scott Frost. This is a big year. We're not going to go down the road of what the Huskers are going to do this year. It is practice. You're right. I'll give you that.
It's practice, man.
It's
practice.
I am excited to go to it. I like to see the new.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, the Oracle and I.
That's fun. You know what I hate about the spring game, kids? Okay, I have children of my own. They're not children anymore. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like about the spring game. Because I went in Riley's first year. Riley's first year as head coach, I went to the spring game. It was the first spring game I had gone to probably since I was in like middle school. Okay,
Right.
to put that in perspective, years, right? Here's what I don't like. Nobody is even really focusing on what's going on the field at all. There are kids running around all over the freaking place.
I call the spring game amateur hour.
Okay, it's kind of like going out on St. Patty's Day to tie one off. That's original. That's cute. That's unique. That never happens. Who does that?
I like going because the Oracle still likes to go. There were many years we didn't go. Many years after Osborne we didn't go. And we did. I think we went. Did we? I think we went to one with Riley because it was a buddy's bachelor party. But other than that, we didn't really go. And then it's Scott. My dad's excited. The Oracle.
I get it.
I'll be the first to admit I can't stand amateur hour.
Oh, I don't know. It's part scrimmage. It's like part. Okay, guys, we're gonna get in a circle and play duck, duck, goose. It's part. It's. I don't know.
No, now listen. In fairness, it depends on how it's structured. I've seen spring games that were why are we even here? I've seen spring games under Osborne where you thought you were an actual football game. Now Scott did a little bit of mix. I did like how it was structured. We actually got to see maybe a quarter or two. But what are you expecting? At the end of the day, it is a practice. But if I'm going to go to it, look around the Big Ten. You watch it on the Big Ten. It'll be on the Big Ten. You'll see some of those spring games that are. Why would you go? Why are you even doing this? And yes, even the coaches. Scott Frost himself will tell you, spring game is more for the fans. My thing is how are you structuring it for the fans? If you're having, watch like Illinois a couple years ago, or watch Ohio State. They have basically 7-on-7.
Whoa, you just brought up Illinois. We're on the topic of college football right now. Got to give a shout out to our boy Reese Woodcock, who is still like just salivating over the 13-member signing class.
Oh God,
13-man signing class for the Fighting Illini.
They have lost.
Book it. Big Ten championship game.
Okay, we'll do it. I was going to save this for. We still got a long road ahead of us. We still got spring games.
Book it.
Well, I'll get there, Boom.
Book it.
We still got spring games. We've still got media days, Big Ten media days. You've still got the fall camp before we even play ball.
That's cute.
Yeah, but Illinois, according to Boom, mark it.
No. I just said book it. Big Ten championship game. There will be a Big Ten championship game this year.
Yes. I'm talking about the Big Ten Media Days, excuse me.
Yeah, book it. Illinois is going to be at Big Ten Media Days. Lovie Smith will be there. You know what? While we're on Big Ten, before we shift topics, we're going to talk more Huskers, different sports. You heard about the whole Jerry Kill, PJ Fleck beef, right? Like Jerry Kill was interviewed by Matt Schick, former Nebraska broadcast, not Nebraska,
He's on
but
ESPN now.
Yeah.
You're joking about this. I didn't hear anything.
No, he was talking mad shit on
really
PJ Fleck and how he thinks PJ Fleck is in it for himself and not for the students and not for the kids.
When was this?
A couple of weeks back. It actually happened.
Well, what have I been calling that man the entire time?
You and Jerry Kill both seem like bitter old men.
No, wait a minute now. I thought PJ was my guy and Lovey was your guy.
I'm just saying.
We have a running joke on here about these two coaches because they're complete. Well, I think one's in a better position than the other. They're both in dumpster fires. They're both used car salesmen. Well, PJ Fleck's more of a car salesman.
I think Lovie Smith is a football guy who took a job because somebody offered him one.
Well, and it's a good retirement package.
It's a great retirement package. We've talked about that, but no, there's legitimate beef. After the show, you need to delve into
really
this actually took place, like literally. And the thing is, they used to work together somewhere else. I can't remember where it was, but they actually have worked with one another before. Well, that's not a good sign.
If you're a Minnesota Golden Gopher, that's not a good sign.
They've been chastising Kill.
Well,
they've been kind of, and here's why. Here's
the guy. It's kind of like champion to return Minnesota.
It's kind of like a former president,
right?
Talking shit on a current president. Well, okay, that's happening like crazy right now, but this is a very unique time in American history. But generally, you don't hear a lot from former presidents because they've been in that chair, and they understand what goes into that job, and they don't try to. You didn't hear Tom Osborne say anything.
No, but you
didn't.
You didn't. You did not. But Tom not saying certain things is what really bought into what he thought of the program. Tom giving up his presidential suite up in the booths said something. His actions spoke louder than his words.
Correct.
Now listen, all I'm saying is this, to cut to the chase on this one. We rewind the clocks 5 years, Jerry Kill is, he's on to something. Everybody in the Big Ten was impressed with him. You and I were impressed.
Dude, why don't you just row the boat and shut your mouth?
I was impressed with him because he brought Minnesota, who hadn't done anything in 50 years, to, they beat Nebraska a couple times. They beat Michigan. They were doing some things.
Does he wear maroon polyester pants like PJ Fleck? No.
No, okay.
He doesn't.
Boom.
He
Boom.
doesn't. He doesn't. He didn't bring back that 70s Ric Flair. Yeah, give me a Ric Flair woo.
Woo.
All right.
Here's the deal. I think that I take a little bit, not knowing much about it. Kill has the credentials. Kill's been in this business for 30 years, 35 years. He comes back, and I'm sorry, I'm going to give the veterans a little bit more leeway. Out of the gate I am. PJ Fleck thus far has been a used car salesman. Well, we're the youngest team in America. That's by your choosing. All these coaches that come up with that, I hate that excuse. Well, we're young. You decided to shit can your upperclassmen and play the freshmen.
Do you like? Is it kind of like a Matthew McConaughey thing with you and PJ Fleck? Like, do you think he looks around the locker room and goes, "We keep getting older, they stay the same age"?
I think it's
no.
I think it's we'll see on PJ Fleck. He's done some things I got to tip the cap to. He's done some other stuff that, dude, you sound like he's one of those leaders. Dude, either you're all in or you're not. He's one of the, where you're like, he's such a blowhard, and he's talking about this and this and this, and he's so animated about it.
Right.
While it may be him, and several people have said it is him, man, you come on so strong with it, it seems phony to me. And a lot of people kids don't buy into that. If you sit there and pound your chest and scream from the soapbox over and over and over, eventually it loses its effectiveness as a leader.
Right.
I don't care what business you're in. If you're, we're this and this, and him sprinting up the field, sprinting down the field, and acting like a jackass on the sidelines.
That doesn't happen.
Well, yeah.
No.
You could do that for so long until people are like, listen, you're here to coach me. I want you. These kids are smart nowadays, and a lot of them, it's, where are you going to take me next? 97% of them won't see an NFL field. 99% of them won't see an NFL field.
Right.
But all of them want the chance to go to the show. And if you're over there doing all this and that and the antics, these kids, they buy through that.
So what you're saying is, to kind of transition here,
yeah,
coaching
is
ultimately responsible for how a team performs.
Absolutely.
And how a culture evolves.
Yes.
Okay, well,
oh God,
we're going to basketball. It's basketball time.
He's done.
Nebraska ball. Shit show. Yes?
He's done. I was in his favor 6 weeks ago. I'll give it to you that way. I was even giving our dear friend Stephen McCarthy the coach.
That's the thing. When we did our last show, quote unquote show, I interviewed Stephen, and he and I both thought they would make the dance. We both thought, yeah, they're gonna. That was right before the slide.
The 6-7 game slide. Yeah.
Now, and what happened against Michigan? Look, I didn't expect them to do much more against a top 10 team, but the fact that they quit, this looked very similar to a situation we saw in football a couple years back.
Well, I think the writing's on the wall. It is. He's done.
Done.
He's done. And you got a bone to put. Well, before we get to that, the bone to pick with Omaha World Herald. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
He's had 7 years. I grew up in a house where it's all about patience, and the Oracle's all about patience. He had it with Callahan.
A Nebraska football fan should have it, especially guys our age, who lived through the 80s, witnessed what happened in the 80s, or hell, even people, the age of our folks, right, that had to, even before the 80s, had to witness Osborne in the 70s, before the 80s rolled around. Patience is a big thing. But
it is, but there's two things with that.
Standards.
Absolutely. That's first and foremost your standards in when. Let's make it football. Go back to football real quick just to prove this example. Scott Frost tied Mike Riley with 4-8. Mike Riley's last year 4-8. Scott Frost 4-8. I would take Scott Frost's team against that Riley's team of 4-8 any day of the week.
Absolutely.
And I'd win. Because while you saw 4-8 and 6 out of the gate, where 3 of them were head scratchers on how the hell they lost them, we weren't getting spanked. -1 game, we got spanked in 1.
Of all the memories of last year, that game, okay, the Troy game was tough for me to swallow as well. We were at that one together.
Yeah.
The Michigan game just brings back.
But here's what happened. You saw in a 4-8 record tangible progress.
I'll give you that.
You saw an offense that was light years better than the team before it. You saw a defense, while not good, was not getting skunked. Again, minus a game. You saw a defense that at times you saw flickers of this.
You saw them fight.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Fast forward to Miles. There's nothing you can point at. He went to the dance 1 year. 3-4 years ago, was it?
It's been a minute, but yeah.
So he went to the dance 1 year. But he's been such a roller coaster up and down of what is this we're seeing. 1 year, not too bad. Last year he wins 20 games. They don't get in. It was an odd year. This year, he'll be lucky to make 500. If he can make 500, you can't have that in year 7. I'm not at this point. It's Nebraska ball. True, but you better give us something that we have a chance to go to at least the dance every year or be in contention for the dance. Mm-hmm. Bill Moose said it this way: my coaches, if you're going to be on my staff, you're in the top half of the Big Ten in every sport. That's a quote from Bill Moose.
Okay, define top half, because I could bend numbers. Top half in turnovers, top half in.
They all go hand in. I know where you're going with it. They're all going hand in hand. When the rankings come out, you're in the top half.
Second to the worst team in the Big Ten is what we are.
Yeah.
Basketball,
not good
second
enough.
To last.
Listen, people thought last year he was going to get the boot. There was some talk.
But last year would not have been as justified.
My point is that after this year,
he's got to go. He has to go. The question then becomes, and it's a question that's asked whenever you replace a coach at any time, is who's the right guy to bring in? Who's the right fit to bring in?
You go ask our buddy Steve, and he even said this about Moose. He goes, any AD is going to be hard pressed to get a guy in here that's going to be really
because there's zero history of success, zero history of that.
Great facilities, good support.
Sure, great facilities, good support. Third, maybe fourth on sports popularity at the university, behind football, volleyball, and then you've got basketball, baseball. Success-wise and historically, baseball's third.
I'd even say baseball's third because of Airstad being the coach right now. I would say you're right.
Just knocked off the number 3 team in the country.
I would say you're right.
So you it's a tough sell. You've got to. This is what this is. This is one of those. They need to find Devaney. They need to find a guy who's willing to come. It's not like Devaney was sought after by every university in the country. When he came here, he was coaching at frickin' Wyoming.
Right.
Okay? He comes to Nebraska. He changes the culture. We need a Bill Moose guy.
Well, I think you're going to find a hard-nosed guy. He may even go young and up-and-comer again. You can get the young ones out of the gate.
Scott's a young up-and-comer.
It's a gamble, but sometimes the younger coaches will do it. Whether or not if he has a lot of success, he stays is another story. But you can get those guys at those lower Division I schools that aren't getting paid jack. Come here, you make $1 million or $1.5 million, whatever it is, somewhere in there. It's around there. Come play here. I could see it. It's going to be a hard press, regardless.
It's going to be tough for Nebraska's basketball program to ever have long-term success. A miracle.
Well, again,
a miracle.
Again, we're going in a loop of what's success. To me, success is we're in contention for the dance every year. To at least go. I don't think that you're talking about money. You're talking about places that are established. Nebraska basketball.
There's no reason why Nebraska shouldn't every other year be in the dance.
There's no reason why. Now the Big Ten, let's give it its due in basketball.
Probably one of the best conferences in basketball.
It's damn hard. There's no reason Nebraska can't finish 5th or 6th. There's 5th or 6th. I didn't say top 4. I didn't say they're beating Ohio State and Michigan
State
and Purdue every damn year. I'm not saying that, but That's 4 teams.
Ohio State.
I said
Wisconsin.
You can't be 5th or 6th. You can't be 5th or 6th.
They can finish in the top 6.
They can finish in what? Called the top half?
Every other year. I'm not saying every year even.
But
I'm not in this league. I'm not even saying every year.
Top half, boom.
Top half gets you in every year. I'm not saying they're dancing every year. That's
We're not even in the top. We're not in the top 2/3.
If you're not first, you're last.
There is a problem. We can agree on this. You are such a smart ass. When you're finishing 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 13th, that doesn't cut it.
No,
that doesn't cut it.
It's
anywhere.
obviously broken.
That doesn't cut it anywhere. If you're a Power 5 school, I don't care if you're Illinois in football. Eventually, Whitman over there, we make a lot of fun of him.
You think Dana Altman would leave Nike money to come coach Nebraska?
Nope.
I don't either.
No.
And that's a name that's been floated out there, and I think it's just like a wet dream of a Husker fan.
Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
No.
Why the hell would you leave Nike? You?
I wouldn't.
Nobody would.
I wouldn't. Of course, it's
what
not.
are you going to offer Dana Altman at Nebraska for basketball that he doesn't get at Nike?
New Adidas sneakers,
or your own private collection of Adidas, or of Nike, especially custom made for the basketball players and the basketball team.
Listen,
it ain't
facts don't matter. Okay, forget about facts for a second.
We're going fairy tale world already. Okay, let's go fairy tale. Let's go to La La Land. Go ahead, Boom.
2 words, man.
Bobby Knight. Sure. Yeah. 87-year-old Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight resurrects the never was alive Nebraska basketball program.
He doesn't fit the culture. Let's entertain him.
He doesn't fit the culture? You telling me him and Bill Moose couldn't pound some down?
I'm sure they could.
Okay.
How many of the old hay shakers in Nebraska are going to put up with a chair being thrown across the floor?
You want to win?
It ain't going to happen. But you know what?
That would be entertaining
It'd be
as hell.
entertaining as hell.
That would be
Why
entertaining.
not?
I know it's never going to
Let's
happen.
go down that road.
I know that's
Let's
not
just
even
get
a reality thing.
I got another name for you, Patino. Let's just go get him.
Well, I would have been okay with that, actually.
Moving on. What's our next subject?
If you're not cheating,
what else?
You ain't trying.
What else do we got, bud?
Okay, all right. Omaha World Herald. Are they out moose hunting? Article comes out a couple days ago. I came across it. It seems a bit bitter to me, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm reading it into a wrong.
Tell folks what it's about.
Basically, according to the article, something was instituted before Sean Eichhorst left when it comes to paying
former
people,
AD at Nebraska,
paying people to come in and advise or work with the team, like from the outside, like Navy SEALs,
right?
Or I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a sports psychologist that Osborne brought in the late 80s, early 90s, and it kind of got that. He's the one who implemented the Unity Council. He's the one who implemented all these other things, okay? So he's criticizing right now, too. But evidently, getting back onto the basketball team, there were some Navy SEALs that were working with the basketball team about teamwork and whatnot. And evidently, they
We're
were
not the only program, by the way, that does this.
They were all ho-hum, right? And everything was right in the world of the basketball team. Well, maybe and evidently they had to stop. Evidently they were like, Bill Moose is like, we're not paying this. We're paying you, Coach Miles, to coach this basketball team. Coach the basketball team. So I believe Chris Heddy was the article's author, and he's not outright blaming Moose, but he's kind of insinuating, well, maybe if they put out that money, then maybe things would be a little bit better. Maybe this is why Nebraska ball is failing or falling apart right now. We have 7 years of evidence as to why Tim Miles might be a great guy, but he's not the guy. And he's not the guy to turn the direction around for Nebraska basketball.
Well, first of all, the SEALs issues, let's address this one thing at a time. Scott Frost had SEALs on his campus this year. He's friends with some SEALs. He went on that, you remember it was on ESPN or whatever.
That hike?
At the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
That guy that ran that is a buddy of his. He's a SEAL. He's a former SEAL. They have SEALs on the campus. I'm sure Scott got it for free or next to nothing, a buddy for a buddy, kind of deal. So that's not the issue here. And secondly, more importantly, I guess you could say is, why are you sidebarring it because the Navy SEALs weren't able to come in? Tim Miles, who's got his best class he's had since he's been there.
Now, I'm going to ask you this too, because
he's not going to go 500, and it's because the Navy SEALs couldn't come and help him coach.
I can't remember who broke the story, but was it the World Herald who also came out about Moose's drinking?
Yes.
Was it?
I don't. Well, no. In fairness, I don't know if they broke it.
Yeah, see, I can't remember, honestly. I don't know.
Here's the problem I have. I'm a journalism major. I'm not a complete journo, but I do have a respect for it. I'm learning about it. I've talked to several journalists that are good stand-up people. You're always going to have some bias. That's human nature. That's fine. My problem with the Omaha World Herald is they purposely turn screws just to get a reaction. I wouldn't call it shock jockeying.
We're talking about it right now.
I wouldn't call it shock jockeying, but it is. In a way, it's what's the norm? What do the people want to hear about? You don't always have to go follow rank and file and suit with what everybody wants to do. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You're purposely turning screws and stirring up shit to stir it up. If you're a sports journalist or you're a journalist, no, they don't even call themselves journalists anymore. They're sports. What's the big one now? It's quasi writers. They call it something else. It's
blogger.
Well, there's blogging, but there's also they don't call themselves journalists anymore, basically, and I hate that. And I hate what they're doing because you're purposely turning screws, and it's causing friction in the higher ups.
It's called entertainment.
Right, but see, if you're a journalist, you're not. Depending on what kind of
journalism's dead. Journalism's dead.
The traditional way is, but the problem is that I still believe in having your facts right. At least here's what it is for me: intent. What is your intent? If your intent is to stir shit, then you don't belong at a paper. You don't belong at a place claiming to be professional sports writers.
Right.
You want to write on a blog. You want to get on Facebook. Hell, well, if we wanted to on our little show here.
I'm a talking head. I am not a journalist. I have never, ever.
No.
I am not a journalist.
But here's the thing.
I'm here to entertain and to talk about shit I love.
Hey,
period.
So am I, but there's a difference. Your intent. You do want to entertain me.
I just want to. I want the people to like us. Yeah. Shutsy.
Well, yeah, but you know as well as I do, you don't just push out horse shit. You joke around.
I joke. I bullshit a lot.
Yeah. But you do not force blatant lies.
Oh, no.
And turn screws. No. Just to do it to go people.
No.
I'm not about that either. I may disagree with. We may get plenty of. We're hoping for plenty of reaction, and it's not always going to be positive. That's fine. What is your intent? Were you delivering it because you were giving your honest opinion of what you saw, an analysis based on facts, based on actual observations, or are you just turning screws just to turn screws?
So I'm asking the direct question then. Is the Omaha World Herald moose hunting? Or are they trolling?
A bit of both.
Bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both.
You think they have an axe to grind, possibly for whatever reason, with Bill Moose?
When you enter that world, and the only game in town in this state is Cornhuskers program. First and foremost, the football team. There's no argument there. But football's not around right now. Granite Springs coming up. You have basketball and you have baseball. And that is it. There's a lot of politics that go on. I know firsthand from friends that were cameramen, that were up behind the scenes during the Pelini era, during the Callahan era.
Right.
I have friends that were sports writers or closely tied into NET. I won't get into names here. That say that there's some politics that go on there. And you mix it. And this is, by the way, we're not the only university that has this. This goes on across the country. It's just more amplified here and under the microscope because it's all we have. But there's games to be played with donors, sports writers, and ADs, especially in the game that we're in, have to rub donors the right way. They have to rub sports writers the right way. And there's these allegiances that go on, and all these they do. They just do. In Omaha World Herald for years, being they're the biggest newspaper in the state, they're Buffett-backed. They play their cards, and I think they're in trouble, and they've even openly said
I think newspapers in general are in trouble.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to turn screws and trying to create controversy. I don't believe in creating controversy. You want to bullshit. You want to joke around, have fun. I'm all for it. When you're trying to come across as serious and somebody that's informed, entertaining is one thing. That's fine. You can entertain and be informed.
Right.
You can entertain and have the facts behind you. Opinions are great. You're not even opinion-based in this. You're just throwing out bullshit to throw it out. I don't believe in that. And that's what I think Omaha World Herald's done for years. For years and years. There's a joke running about Steve Sipple at, I think, in Journal Star, how he greases up the coaches and he gets this. Yeah, but if you notice, not to go too far down I don't want to pick out individual people here. Journal Star's got I'm willing to bet you got a lot better relations with University of Nebraska and Lincoln. And they write articles that don't always grease the wheels of Lincoln. They're not always pro.
Well, we are the outsiders.
Yeah.
Omaha in general.
Yeah.
We're the outsiders.
We are, and there's a lot of that. That's a whole state issue. We could go down that road. Everybody outside of Omaha looks at Omaha as the ghosts, I guess. And inside of Omaha, we think of Nebraska is Omaha.
Fact.
And so
Fact.
It is, but I come from a bit of both worlds. You do too. And so Omaha World Herald to me, I know, and I've met some of the Omaha World Herald writers. They're good people. There are some good ones. The sports writers, that's a different world. That's a different beast.
Yeah.
And when you're writing for somebody that's sponsored and you're writing for somebody that's got bills to pay and keep the lights on, your agendas change. We went over this with ESPN and Fox and all these things. When the bigger, the grander the scale is, the more people you have to answer to. I don't know. There are some sports writers for the Omaha World Herald I like and I think are on the up and up. Don't always agree with them. I don't have to.
Right.
I'm not saying either I agree with you or you're a shit writer. I agree with you or you're a shit analyst. No.
See, I like the debate. I like taking taking on the persona that is opposite of somebody, not just for the sake of doing it, but the open debate.
I don't mind devil's advocate even. But you better be backed up with facts and you better be backed up with truth.
Which is why sometimes I look at you and I say, let's take the facts completely out of this.
Right.
And hire Bobby Knight.
Sure.
Okay.
But people know that's a joke. When you throw stuff on paper, we're speaking, and now we have cameras. You can see what they're trying to deliver, if it's a joke or not, or you can read body language. When you're writing stuff, just like texting, it can be lost in translation.
It can be.
And that's what I have a problem with. They write a certain way to cause a stir.
Like fonts can be, I'll always be there in Times New Roman is a lot different than if it were like spooky.
Right.
Because if I were to write to you, I'll always be there. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So many things can be misinterpreted in life.
My interpretation of the Omaha World Herald is they're trying to sell papers at the end of the day. Sometimes I just have some true information behind you. The Navy SEALs are why Tim Miles is. Why would you even pump that garbage out?
Because Timmy.
Yeah, he's done. Next subject. He's done.
Baseball.
Ooh.
Baseball. First, hats off to Darren Erstad and the Huskers for knocking off the number 3 team in the country.
2-1 last night. It was a good game.
Biggest victory, rankings wise, in 5 years for the Husker baseball team.
You know what? I'll tip the cap to Erstad. I've always been a fan since the '90s of him when he punted for us.
Yes.
I like that every year he's been there. They open the season. Well, they have to because of the weather outside. It's snowing.
Snowing right
There's
now.
2 feet of snow in certain areas on the ground.
Yes.
But what I like about him is he goes to the coast and he plays tough teams. Played Oregon State. Played Texas Tech. He goes and says, "No, we're gonna." He did a 4-gamer with Oregon State.
Yep. Well, he's not afraid.
Yeah.
And that's the only way, right? Iron versus iron, right?
Steel sharpens steel.
It's the only way you're going to get better.
And
after last season, which was a step back, let's be honest, you go from winning the Big Ten to the kind of season they had last year. It's a good start. It's a good start for the 2019 season.
What I like about it is it shows no fear, and it also steel sharpens steel in the fact that they're going to come out of this with an record. They're playing some tough teams. Their record's not going to look that good, but how much better are they going to be for playing that competition early? You can make this argument in football. You can make it in basketball. Things are getting better. Schedulings are getting better in some senses for some schools that are finally getting on board with. So you played Iowa School for the Deaf in whatever sport. What did that do for you?
Nothing.
Calipari said it best down in Kentucky. I don't know who it was, the team they played. It was some low Division I team. I mean, like 300th ranked, and they beat them by like 90. They just destroyed them. It was not even a game. And he goes, I'm not even going to watch the film. I'm very mad we played this game. That's no disrespect to the team we just played. This was pointless. I got nothing from it. My players got nothing from it. That other team got nothing from it. They got a check. Stop doing it. So, tip of the cap. I'm excited.
Now let's shift a little bit because baseball season's here. Okay, spring training is in full effect. We are like T-minus a month away from possibly doing games ourselves soon behind the dish. as umpire extraordinaires. The two hottest free agents of the offseason, both signing contracts within the last week and a half. First, you had Manny Machado, I believe, 10-year, $300 million contract with the San Diego Padres. Good on him for cashing in. And then Bryce Harper, who I think was the crown jewel of this MLB offseason, signing 13-year, $330 million contract with an ironclad no-trade clause, meaning if they want to trade him and his salary away, he's got to give you the double thumbs up, or they can't touch him. They can't do anything with him. Now, 13 years. Schutzy, what are you going to be doing in 13 years?
Living on my yacht, hopefully.
13 years. now he's I can't remember how old Harper is. I want to say he's maybe 25. Maybe he's young. He broke into the league at like 19, 20. Okay, he's been the AL or he was the NL Rookie of the Year. He's won an MVP. He's got no hardware. Outside of those, 13 years is a long time, and 300. This is Major League Baseball. This isn't an NFL contract. This is not an NBA contract. Major League contracts are ironclad.
Guaranteed money.
He's making $330 million over the next 13 years. One way or the other, he's getting that money. It's his. It's in the bank. 13 years is a long. Good on Philadelphia for making a move they felt they had to make. Now, I will also say this. I feel better. And this will say something. I feel better about the 13-year, $330 million contract that they signed over the 10-year, $300 million contract that the Padres signed with Manny Machado. Now, here's why.
Go ahead.
Bryce Harper has, at least maybe even unfairly when he first came into the league, the reputation of being a bit of a dick, being a bit of an asshole, being a bit of a guy who might not be a team player. What we do know about Bryce Harper is that he's a gamer. He shows up every day. He plays hard. Manny Machado takes plays off. You can see him jogging down to first base. He got to the Dodgers, and he lit it up somewhat. But at the same time, look, he played against my Red Sox in the World Series. There were times I could tell. Manny Machado reminds me a little bit of Manny Ramirez. Brilliant. And can play baseball when he turns it on. And when he wants to do great things, he's capable of doing them. And then there's Manny Machado.
I have a tough time with 10-year contracts, period.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I know personally, I would never sign a contract in any sport longer than 4 years.
Well, this is just off
4 years.
Off the top of my head, look at what LeBron did. He changed the game. Because he's like, I'm not signing 6, 8, 10-year deals. I'm signing 1-year deals, 2-year deals, tops. You're going to pay for the pleasure of my company. We're going to get to him in a second, what that may have caused by doing that. But 10-year deals, what an investment. Now, Bryce Harper right now is looking like he's going to be a generational player. He's going to be that damn good.
He's pretty damn good.
And listen, that's all good and well, but you're banking. I guess you could look at it two ways. That long term, you're banking everything on him. Oh, it better work out. Same as what they do with LeBron. They're like, look what the Lakers did with LeBron. We're banking everything on him.
That's actually a perfect transition. Because the last thing we were planning on talking about today was the NBA and LeBron James and the Lakers. Is LeBron James waiting for Anthony Davis, or is he fading away slowly? We had this discussion before lunch, during lunch, after lunch, on our way here.
I think he's waiting on Anthony Davis.
And I think he's fading away.
I think could be.
I don't know who wants to play with LeBron. You mentioned something earlier, right, before we got on air, and it was something about generations or generational. Expand on that so that we have a little bit of backstory before I get into what I'd like to get into with this topic.
With the way things move now, you got to stay fresh. You got to stay up to date. I'm not going to go too far into the MJ GOAT, LeBron GOAT talk, but it's if you don't stay relevant after time, and this happens with every generation, you fade away. Everybody talks about Shaq and not Wilt. What happened to Doc J? What happened to Bill Russell? What happened to Jerry West? What happened is decades have gone by, and the new hot model came out. So I'm not going to say, I personally think it's Michael too, like you do, but LeBron pulls another one in, and he's going to be the GOAT. He's going to be the GOAT because he's that fresh and relevant. I know we could go down a whole road, you and I.
Here's my argument with this thing though. Like here's what I'm thinking with LeBron James is already a few years removed from winning a title. A. B. When I think of superstar in the NBA today, LeBron James isn't the first name that even pops into my head.
Fair enough.
Steph Curry, Kevin Durant,
and they learned.
Joel Embiid,
and they learned from what LeBron did when he went down to Miami.
Giannis, up in Milwaukee of all places. These are all players that I think about before I even think about the quote biggest superstar in the game. And I'm not knocking LeBron James; he's got game. Physically superior to Jordan. I don't think anybody can even try to argue that. Physically, far superior.
Shaq had something great to say about that. You know, everybody's talking about him and Wilt. He goes, first of all, I'll never be able to play Wilt. We'll never know. LeBron will never be able to play Michael Jordan and see him on the same court. What a shame. Tyson will never get to fight Ali. These are fun subjects to have. But I had a lot more respect for Shaq. A few weeks ago, he did an interview on another podcast, and he goes, I never played the game to be considered the best. I played the game to be the most dominant, and he was. He's the most dominant inside guy I ever saw. And I saw Ewing. I saw Barkley. You know,
the Admiral.
Yeah, I saw these guys play, and Shaq destroyed them all. He was physically dominant. And he goes, if I'm in the same breath as Wilt, haven't I done it? Isn't that good enough? You know, this whole to kind of get off sidebar. This whole LeBron, Jordan. Why isn't Kobe's name in there? Why isn't Kobe's name up there? It's silly, but with LeBron and what's going on at the Lakers, they're gambling. They're gambling. And for you to hold a lot of owners told the owners of the Pelicans, do not trade him midseason, do not trade AD, because there's a lot of discontent for what the Lakers have been doing for decades. And they changed some rules around, and they changed some things around, but what LeBron has done, call this good or bad, he's changed the game.
He has. And Anthony Davis... Here's the reason, or one of the reasons why people keep saying, oh, possibly, maybe, Anthony Davis, Lakers, LeBron, they have the same agent. Mm-hmm. Same agent. I'm going to pose the question. If you were an NBA player, superstar, would you want to, and this is kind of something you kind of brought up too, all these kids that play for the Lakers right now that were literally told they were disposable. The thing is, you play with LeBron, he decides whether you're disposable or not. You can be AD, and you could come into Los Angeles, and you could underperform, and all it's going to take is for LeBron James to walk into Magic Johnson's office, walk into the bus's office, and say, And Anthony Davis is nothing but a memory in Lakers lore.
Maybe, but if you're going to go down that road, they're putting all their eggs in one basket. He can't do it. You're right on what you're saying, but you've now made the move.
Tyronn Lue was the coach of the Cavaliers because that's who LeBron wanted to coach him.
Right, but AD is one of those superstars that you can put up there with LeBron. He's one of those guys. You don't think that goes on at Golden State? Steph Curry could say, Draymond, get him out of here. Steph Curry runs that team. They have Steph Curry and they have Klay Thompson and they have Draymond Green.
Kevin Durant.
But who's the most valuable player on that team?
That's actually arguable. You could argue.
Not right now. You can't.
You could argue that. You could. You could argue KD. Because he's a more dynamic player. I'm not taking anything away from Steph. Steph is he's a sharpshooter.
You can argue that, but KD is also proven now with what he's done, just like LeBron did, that he's a gun for hire. Steph Curry hasn't. Steph Curry runs that team.
Correct. It's Steph's team. The
first to leave the island will be like a Draymond Green.
KD is gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that right now.
The last to leave that team
Steph Curry.
Is Steph Curry. He's the face of that
he's the face of the free. Yeah, absolutely.
My point is that LA's gambling, they get Anthony Davis. And if they get Anthony Davis, LeBron will once again go on a run. To tail out his career, they'll be dominant. He'll be Kobe Shaq too. Unstoppable in the paint, and LeBron James on the outside, inside. He can go wherever he wants.
Right.
And with the guy hitting the boards and getting the rebounds and taking the shots, can do just all that stuff, and he's 7 foot tall, Anthony Davis. Yeah, it's over. They don't want to see that anymore. But see, this is what the NBA has become, and this is what I think the NBA is in real trouble with. If you're not a top 3 or 4 market team, the future is grim for the NBA. For some teams, for a lot of teams, I think that's just an opinion. Shaq talked about how days of old he wanted to play against Michael. Not play on his team, he wanted to beat him. Nowadays, players want to play, oh, he's good. They all know each other from playing in AAU all the way through college, playing on select teams, all this stuff. They all know one another. The times have changed. And instead of playing against him, and LeBron kicked this off. For the new era, he kicked this off. It's kind of gone on with trades and what have you.
Not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8 championship. LeBron? You're saying he kicked this off?
Well,
he did. He
kicked off the modern era of,
he did.
I'll call up my buddies, we'll create super teams. And I think that this AD thing is the NBA's way. The rest of the teams, the small market teams, i.e. your Torontos, your Milwaukees, if you allow this to happen, you're going to open the floodgates to where all the stars are just going to do nothing more than call one another and say, do a one and done with that team, come here.
I think you're going to see it anyways.
I don't know if that's good for the sport, though. But here's the problem. You talk to my buddy that's been coaching for years, loved basketball since he could walk. Why is the NBA going along with this? Because they're all getting paid. End of the day, they're getting TV money. It doesn't matter whether their stadium's filled out or not.
Here's how they could try to limit things, though. Bring down. There are more small market teams than there are huge. But there's only one. Well, okay, there's a few teams in California. There's a few teams in New York.
There's only a couple that pack house.
So basically, if you wanted to, you could prevent super teams from happening just by minimizing contracts or the owners taking a vote and making this or that.
I always thought of this, and I'm sure it'll get shot down. You could do you could tag. You could have the NBA collectively, because it's a private institution just like the NFL is, and create their own rules. You could have the owners get together and go, you're allowed 2 players that have been tagged, deemed all-stars on the same team. You can, as a group, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
Say, it doesn't matter, pick a team. Lakers, you've got 2 all-stars, you can't have another one. You can't. They cannot be. These are the list of players that cannot be on the same team, more than 2 of them. You cannot have super teams anymore, where all you do is you tell your boy, we're the top 2 players in the league. You're about to go on free agency. I say, come to my team, take a 2-year pay cut. It doesn't matter. We're going to get rings. We're going to get hardware. Sign big. After that, we'll play makeshift games with our drafts. We'll do this. That will cut players. We'll have you on. Sign the first one low, and that's all they're doing. That's all these players are doing. Well, the NBA can stop that.
But do they want to?
Do they want to? Because at the end of the day, and this is what's sad about professional sports, period.
Sports, period.
Well, no, but here's the deal. There's a difference. There's a small difference. At the end of the day, the college ranks can still hold on to the fact that they answer to state, they answer to voters, they answer to what have you. Pro teams don't have to have that luxury. That's good and bad, depending on how you look at it. Pro teams are private companies with one individual, maybe a board of a small group of individuals that run the show, and they decide how they want to do it. Don't have that luxury at universities because they have to answer to governors and boards and regents and people that are elected officials in the state themselves, the taxpayers.
Right.
Pro teams don't have to. So pro teams could literally sit down and solve this. But what's sad for pro sports, and this is all pro sports across the board, is it the average fan, you and I, the guys in row 87, don't matter. To the degree.
Like The Rock says?
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter what you think.
What you think?
It doesn't matter what you think. That's the state of things. Whether or not that gets changed, we'll see. They can turn it around. That's a long, whole nother road. We can get that to another time.
Maybe episode 2 of
Maybe
season
episode
2.
2. We'll be back to you guys next week.
Next week, we'll be here.
We'll be here.
We will.
We actually have it up and running now and the equipment we need. It's kind of fun.
It's nice.
Final thoughts.
GBR. Pull the plug now. Don't even wait until the season's over with Tim Miles. Just end it now. End the speculation now. Start the coaching search now. And my last final thought for today is we'll have a week's worth of practice to talk about next week when we do this.
I'm excited for football. You're excited for baseball. I'm excited for all of it. Let's get this damn weather better. I want to go out biking. I want to go out shooting. With that, I am Schutz.
It's snowing. I'm Boom.
We'll see you next week.